Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 11 o'clock agenda, Joint Committees on Pandemic and Disaster Preparedness and Committee on Higher Education and Technology. Before we start, I just wanted to thank the Labor Committee for letting us use their room 312 next door. Since we are too big to fit in this one room, 312 will be our overflow room. So thank you very much to Labor Committee for accommodating us. Okay, first up, we have House Bill 956 relating to statewide interoperable public safety communications. We have testimony from State Department of Defense, Office of Homeland Security, Mr. Everett Kaneshige.
Morning, Chair. Morning, members of the committee. It's good to see you all. Really, I'll stand on my written testimony. The department has expressed its position both in my testimony as well as the testimony from General Hara. I did want to just make a real quick comment. We are proposing an amendment to the bill as drafted as a result of consultation with the Office of Information Practices. And then for staff's purposes, we did find one typo on page 4, line number 20. Right now, that says emergency communication centers and public answering points, and that should say public safety answering points. And that's all I have, members and chair, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Kaneshige. Next, we have testimony from Office of Enterprise Technology Services.
Good morning, Chair, Chair Ichiyama, Chair Takayama, Vice Chairs Eli and DeCoit, members of the committee. My name is Caroline Julian Freitas. On behalf of the Office of Enterprise Technology Services and CIO Doug Murdoch, we stand on our testimony in support of this measure.
Thank you, Ms. Freitas. That's all the folks that we have signed up to testify on Zoom. Members, are there any questions?
Members, any questions from higher? I'm sorry, I can't see the other room.
They're on the Zoom.
Members of higher ed in room 312, do you have any questions? Seeing none, Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the last bill on this joint agenda, House Bill 957. This is relating to Homeland Security. First up, we have testimony from Major General Kenneth Hara, Hawaii Department of Defense.
Good morning, chairs, vice chair, members of the committee. I am Frank Pace, the administrator of the Office of Homeland Security. I will be testifying on behalf of the Department of Defense today. And I would like to say that we are testifying and we stand on our testimony in support of Bill 957.
Thank you. Next, we have testimony from Department of Human Services. Director Betts, or her representative.
Good morning, chairs, vice chairs, committee members. Joseph Campos, Deputy Director, Department of Human Services. We stand on our testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Next, testimony from Hawaii State Energy Office, Scott Glenn, or his representative. Not present, okay. Then testimony from Department of Transportation, Director Boutte. Not present, okay. Finally, testimony from Retail Merchants of Hawaii, Tina Yamaki. Okay, not present. So that's all the folks we have signed up to testify via Zoom. PDP members, any questions? Okay, seeing none.
Members of higher ed and technology, Representative Gannon.
Apologies for Mr. Pace. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not sure if you or the other members of the committee had a chance to watch 60 Minutes last night and the expose on the SolarWinds hacking of federal and state servers.
Yes.
I thought it was fairly distressing, considering the Fusion Center's work on this issue. To your knowledge, are state servers infected with malware as discussed in this national program last night?
To my knowledge, I do not have any awareness of any infection related to that incident. I did not see the episode, but I am aware of the SolarWinds issue, and we are actively engaged in working to prevent any such type of incident to occur here in the state of Hawaii. And it also states to the importance of the work that is done at the Fusion Center.
Would you be notifying the committee or the state should you find more information about malware infecting our state servers and computers that we're using right now?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Members, higher ed, any other questions? Seeing none. Sure.
Okay, then we're going to recess for decision making. Recess. Okay, thank you very much, members. We are reconvening the 11 o'clock agenda for decision making. First up, House Bill 956 relating to statewide interoperable public safety communications. We are going to accept the Department of Defense amendment from their testimony, as well as the one that they brought up during their oral testimony, page 4, line 20, public safety answering points. And then following the end of that sentence as well, we're adding the language that was brought up in their testimony. We are going to also add an annual reporting requirement to the legislature from the statewide interoperable communication executive committee, outlining what of their duties as listed on page 2 they have completed, any challenges or barriers, as well as any suggestions for proposed legislation. And we're going to defect the date July 1, 2050 and technical non-substantive amendments. PDP members, are there any questions? Okay, Vice Chair, please.
Chair's recommendations to pass HB 956 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Cullen.
Aye.
Representative McKelvey. Representative Mizuno.
Aye.
Representative Wildberger. Representative Woodson. Excused. I didn't hear him. Okay, excuse. Representative Yamashita.
Aye.
Representative Ward. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members.
Same recommendation for Committee on Higher Education and Technology. Members, any questions or comments or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair, would you take the vote?
Members voting on HB 956, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Rep. Bellotti. Excused. Rep. Ganadin.
Aye.
Rep. Gates.
Aye.
Rep. Hashimoto.
Aye.
Representative Capella.
Aye.
Representative Ono.
Aye.
Representative Quinlan. Excused. Representative Woodson. Excused. Representative Yamani.
Aye.
Representative Okimoto.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, members. Moving to the last bill, HB 957, relating to Homeland Security. We are going to defect the date July 1, 2050, as well as make text amendments. PDP members, any questions? Seeing none, Vice Chair House Draft 1.
Chair's recommendations to pass HB 957 with amendments. Representative Woodson is excused. Any reservations? Any noes? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Same recommendation for Committee on Higher Education and Technology. Members, any questions? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members, Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 957 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, recognizing everybody here with the excuse of Representative Baladi, Representative Quinlan, and Representative Woodson. Any other nays or reservations? Seeing none, Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, Higher Education Committee members. We appreciate your presence, and we are going to just vote on the last PDP bill. So Higher Education members, thank you very much. You're excused. We have one more bill to do decision making on, House Bill 573 relating to federal funds. We are passing out a proposed House Draft 1. I wanted to explain to the members what we're adding, which is a new Part 2. Why don't I just go into the recommendations? I can do this one time. The recommendation is to pass House Bill 573 with amendments. We're adding a new part to the bill to clarify when the legislature is not in session, when we are in a state of emergency, if the federal government passes a certain amount of federal relief funds over a threshold amount, which we're leaving blank for discussion purposes, then the legislature's joint budget committee, which is made up of the House Finance and Senate Ways and Means members, will meet within 14 days after passage of federal relief legislation. They will make a recommendation then to the legislature, which has then the option to call itself back into special session, consider recommendations on how to appropriate those funds. And this is just to clarify, because there was some confusion last year when the CARES Act was passed about who has the proper authority to appropriate these types of relief funds in disaster situations. So I'd ask for the committee's consideration as we move this along for discussion purposes. And with that, any questions?
Chair.
Representative Wildberger, followed by Representative Fox.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate these oversight based on what happened with the allocation of funding that went to, I know Oahu got its own direct funding, and then Finance Chair allocated funding based on population to the neighbor counties. And then there was not much oversight about what that was to happen with that money. So I'm glad to see this, and I want to make sure that it's for funding going forward and not related to what happened last year. That's not going to be retroactive as far as covering expenses. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is prospective only.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, Rep. Ward.
Chair, I'm trying to trace the objections from the Maui County Council and the Maui Mayor, who said that, hey, you're going to make us pay with funds, which we don't necessarily want to allocate to the things that you say we're going to have to do in terms of jails and prisons, et cetera. Is that still in the same bill? I know what you've added is good. It gives the legislature a say, but what happens with this cost shifting to the counties? Is it still in there? Because I don't see it's not in there.
So that's Part 2, and that's in case any future federal relief money comes down. That we wanted to clarify what should be county shared versus what should be state shared.
And that's exactly what the Maui County is objecting to, correct?
I don't want to speak on.
Well, no, well, if it's the same thing of the allocation, the mayor's council as well as the chair of the county council would be applicable. But it's section 3 with the HD1, not section 2. There's where the counties are mentioned.
Yep, section 2 and 3.
Or the last paragraph, of section 2. So Chair, this moves it along. I'd like to see what the counties have to say about this. Maybe I'll listen to Representative McKelvey more. Anyways, that's a comment.
Thank you, Representative Ward. PDP members, any other questions or comments?
One more brief comment. My only concern would be the part that says that the county will have to cover 25% of whatever National Guard requests that they make. And I'm just concerned that we may not be able to predict what kind of insurmountable, horrible thing could come next where that might be needed, and that 25% may be outside the county's ability. It's my only reservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Alberger. Representative.
Oh, no,
McKelvey.
I actually appreciate you putting that in there because, the mayor has been acted pretty unilaterally in the past. And I'm surprised the council wasn't kind of supportive of the bill. I mean, but the county requests of the National Guard is a 20, they are requesting, they called the National Guard out in the beginning of this to block the Honopi'imani Highway and basically try to screen everybody going through when there was no necessitation from the governor's office, from HEMA, from everybody. And so I think this is good to hopefully provide clarification on the county that when they invoke the National Guard, it should be in coordination with and in support of the state and the good for everybody. So thanks, Chair. I know it's a work in progress. Support your recommendation, and I just wanted to flag that this does try to get at some of the issues that came up. But hopefully, if we get federal funds, won't happen. Thanks.
Thank you, Rep. McKelvey. Members, any other questions, comments? Okay, Vice Chair House-Draft 1.
Chair's recommendations to pass HB 573 with amendments. I have Representative Woodson that's excused. Any reservations? Rep. Ward? Any no's? Chair, your recommendation is passed.
Thank you very much, members. This is our last hearing for this week. And then when we come back, it will be for resolutions and Senate bills. Thank you very much, members. We're adjourned.